Joining me now is Alberto Gonzalez, the CIO for the state of Idaho. Alberto, how's it going?
It's going great, Jake. How are you?
It's going so well. Super excited to have you at the Cyber Modernization Summit today. We're here to talk about procurement. It's one of the, wonkier, less fun, less sexy things to talk about in state government, but it is so vitally important, especially in the context of cybersecurity. So tell me a little bit about your current procurement environment. What are some of those challenges? What are some of those difficulties that you've kind of encountered along the way?
I appreciate that, Jake. Just for the record, I've been with the state about 17 years, and mostly my background is managing programs like Medicaid, the DMV, the Health Insurance Exchange. So I've always viewed procurement from the challenges I used to have as a administrator of a program versus IT. Um, the length of time it would take to do procurement was a real frustration for me. And over the last couple of years, we've been able to move to a new model where we've increased the delegated authority that IT has, but secondly, we started to embrace some of the consortiums that are available to us to expedite the way we do procurement. But on the cybersecurity front, making sure that agencies that try to do procurement on their own, or anybody that's doing procurement through ITS, that we go through a very fairly rigorous security review when we do that.
And what's the process been like for you to sort of get agency buy-in and get people kind of all together on this idea of how do we procure technology in a responsible and secure way?
So as you can imagine, there's been a little bit of resistance on us forcing a security review. But we have enough examples now where we've demonstrated that folks have purchased hardware or software that was not meeting the security standards. We had an example of where cameras were purchased that were manufactured in China, as well as the video was being stored in China, and the video was capturing very sensitive information. So talking to the agency leadership after the fact and becoming a partner with them at replacing those cameras was pretty critical, but a very easy example for them to sort of start thinking differently. Software that was being used that we shut down had a lot of security concerns. We worked with the software company to remedy some of those issues, and we were able to bring it back online. It took a few months, but we were happy that we were able to do that. And the agencies then saw another example of where it's not a bad thing. We're just trying to protect you. We're not trying to be obstacles in your procurement process.
And so when you look at that sort of those challenges, the idea of agencies kind of wanting to do their own thing, the idea of not wanting to be perceived as like the no department or the people that always say no to everything. Tell me a little bit about how you approach that and how did you sort of rethink that approach and get the way that you operate moving in a bit of a different direction so that you could get that done.
So that's a really good question. I think, when we're a consolidated state, I know we have distributed states and we have a lot of different varieties in how state IT is done. When we were doing the centralized or consolidated model, we initially were having a very heavy-handed approach to we just won't allow it into the environment. That never works, and we got a lot of feedback. I know when I took the job, that was a major point of frustration for our agencies. We did have to put some authority over the procurement, though. So we started working with our Department of Purchasing. We also started working with our Joint Finance Appropriations Committee that started to demand that ITS, which is our group, was doing a security review on any procurement that they were doing because they had heard the same stories that, like the ones I shared with you earlier. So we started with sort of an enforcement mechanism, but really what we're doing now is more consulting. It's more partnering and collaboration. They got to see us as a partner, not as the enforcer of some policy that may keep them from getting some budget items. So I think collaboration over enforcement is always going to be a better approach.
And I mean that's sort of the bigger picture, right? But when you look at the more granular level, like RFPs are a huge challenge for everyone and provide a lot of stress and also a lot of complexity. What are some of those small things that you're doing to speed up the procurement process and to overall sort of make things more secure?
Well, I think a lot of us are trying to copy Mandy over in Texas, but what we're trying to do here is we know there's going to be large items. Your Medicaid system, your child support system, the Department of Labor, DMVs, a lot of those are going to be typical standard RFPs that have a ton of requirements. but there is so much technology when it comes to hardware, software, professional services that you can expedite those things. So a couple of years ago, we just made a full commitment to really embrace these channels, these consortiums that do procurement between the value add resellers and using the NASPO cloud or other versions of that as well. We've just accelerated the speed at which we can deliver some of these services, and the agencies have responded very favorably to that. So we've had a lot of success with that. I think if states are not leveraging that, they're missing an opportunity.
And then, I mean, with these changes, well underway and implemented, I mean, what does this look like in the future? How does this, these steps, the involvement at the committee level, the use of NASPO and other contracts like that. I mean, what does this mean for a state like yours over time to sort of slowly but surely change the procurement method?
I think our poor friends over at Department of Procurement get a pretty bad rep for how long they take in government. And I know they try really hard, and many times they're understaffed, much like we are as well with our IT groups. But when we think about being responsible government, dependable government, and building back credibility as IT professionals, I think we're laying down a foundation that says, look, there's going to be some really large items that you have to go through that pace, but let us partner with you. And I promise that before you even ask for money to be appropriated, or if you have money left over in this budget and you want to implement something quickly, we can help you do that. So let us be a partner with you. So our enterprise architect team, our security team, are very much open to having meetings on a regular basis with right now, I think we have over 55 agencies under our program. So we meet with them on a regular basis.
And when you look at, sort of your peers at the state CIO level, you mentioned Mandy in Texas, but I mean, what advice do you have for them as they confront these types of issues in their own communities? What tips, what tricks, what secrets maybe do you have for them to make their go at procurement a little easier?
I think for me, what I've learned is every time I attend any sort of gathering that involves the CIOs or the procurement officers, it's really about sharing your challenges. And we've had these across the board. I mentioned Mandy, but I've learned a lot from, from Montana, from Utah, from Oregon, California, Washington. Like you have your regional area. So, reach out where you can. But share don't be ashamed to share like what you're struggling with, because I guarantee you there's a bunch of states that went through that before you and you can learn from them. So I have no shame in stealing ideas from other states if they can accelerate what we're doing here or make it better.
All right, well, Alberto, I know we could talk about procurement all day, but we'll call it here. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being a part of the CyberMod Summit.
All right, Jake. Thanks so much. Appreciate you reaching out and good talking to you.
Of course, good talking to you. And to our audience, stay tuned for more from today's Cybersecurity Modernization Summit.